Okay, so I've just bought this new mixer tap, Mondella Cadenza Curvy Chick, and I bought this one from Bunnings. It was $99. I bought this because it's very similar in size to the one that I've got. Let's just take it out of the bag here. Yeah, the reason I bought this one was because the spout is as long as my existing one. It's about the same size on the sink. And this one actually, and I think they all do that, this one swivels. They started from about $50 up to about $250. I spotted this one and it was $99. You can see in the pack here, there's a tap and spout. There's this little spanner thing which is really good, and I'll show you why in a minute. That's a very handy tool to have. And there's the hoses. Now one thing you've got to remember with these hoses is that they're colour coded, because the one with the red stripes on is for hot water and the one with the blue is for cold water. There's the instructions, and there's also this little gadget here, an O-ring, which is very important, and a couple of little fitting tools, fitting pieces. All right, so if we look at my old tap, this is the tap that I've got on at the moment. This handle's a little bit lower, but the spout is almost the same size, so this will be a good one to replace. And the reason I'm replacing this one, this is just over 20 years old, but I noticed the other day when I turned the tap on, water, it's not going to do it from the now, but a little bit of water started leaking from the back here. So I think the O-ring is shot in this, and I notice it's also very squeaky and stiff to turn on. So I think it's seen better days. Where you look at this one, it's nice and smooth. There's no creaking, no stiffness. Yeah, and she's getting a bit worn out in general. So let's take this one off and put the new one on. Okay, so I've just emptied the contents of the cupboard under the sink out, and you can see clearly two pipes going up into the tap. First thing I see here is there's a bit of insulation over this pipe, so I know that is the hot pipe, and because I've just run the water, I can physically feel that this one's warm, so that confirms that this is the hot pipe. And also, I'll just get my little torch up here as well. You can see here, now there's either some sort of colour coding on these hoses. This one you can see there's a little red, hopefully you can see it, there's a little red plastic washer there, and a little blue one here, also indicating that left is hot and right is cold. Now the first thing you do to change the tap is turn the look at this. Okay, and this often happens. These little tap handles are only plastic, and they often crack and break. Yeah, that's broken, so that's useless. So what I'm going to have to do is use a pair of pliers you can still see the little valve in here, and righty-tighty to the right turns the water off, and left turns it on. So I'm just going to turn the hot to the right, and feel that that's crimped off, and the cold to the right, or clockwise. Clockwise closes. Now I'll go up to the tap, hot on. No water's coming out, and I'll swivel this around, and the cold is also off. So now I can safely disconnect these hoses without causing a flood in the kitchen. Okay, so even though I've shut my water off, I still throw an old towel underneath these taps, because you still always seem to get a bit of a water dribble, and just in case there is a tiny bit of a opening in the valve here, I've got a bit of protection. So my next step is to undo these two hoses. Oh, look at that, they're only hand tight. So and you don't have to do these up, as you can see by the way I'm undoing it by hand, you don't have to do these up really tight, and you don't have to put Teflon tape or plumber's tape there, because there's a little O-ring in there which seals off the pressure quite all right. And I'm probably going to have to, yeah, I've just got this by hand as well. There we go. And a couple of drops of water coming out. So from here I've just got to undo this little nut, and forgive me, hopefully this is coming out, this little nut just there. And that's the nut that holds the tap into position. Now that's why I thought it was a good idea to buy the new tap first, because the new tap came with this little fella, and this makes life easy. You can still get the job done without it, but this makes life easy getting that that nut off. And I'll show you how. Okay, so it's still not easy, but hopefully you can see. As you can see how I'm putting this little tube spinner up here and onto that nut, and now I can just undo it while I'm sitting under the sink. Now, unfortunately for me, not all things go as planned, but that little nut is actually too small for my little spanner. It fits my new tap perfectly, but it's just a touch too small, so I'm going to have to go back to the good old adjustable pliers and undo it with those guys. Now I'm going to have to put the camera down because I need two hands here. Okay, so I've undone that a few times, and now, there we go. I've had a win. I can undo this bolt here now. And, oh boy, very awkward position, but there we go. I've got that little nut and screw off. Now, my little tool here fits this nut here, which also has to come off, and that's coming off nicely. There we go. So now my tap should, there we go, just lift up out of the sink. It's only a small hole, so you lift one hose at a time. And there we go. Oh, tap's finally out. There's a bit of gunk around here, so I'll give that a bit of a little bit of a clean, and we're all set to pop the new tap in. Okay, so that's where I was a little confused. This is the old tap, and actually see that there's two little screws holding it down. This is the one that I took off originally. I just undid the little collar here. And took that one off, but there was still this second little nut here that I had to take off as well. Whereas the new tap only has the one attachment. Okay, so in the box that the new tap came in, there's an O-ring, there's the little nut and bolt, there's a little metal round piece, and a little rubber washer. Now, the little rubber washer, there's a flat side to this and a slightly curved side. The little plastic washer fits perfectly over the metal piece. The little rubber lugs go perfectly inside. Now the O-ring, most importantly, before you put the tap on, and forgive me, I'm always working with one hand when I'm holding the camera, but the O-ring goes in. This little piece, this little section under the tap. Now from here, you can see this little bolt. There's a little section that he goes into, and a little nut, And then you can see at one end, and at only one end, there's a little groove just here. That allows you to get a flathead screwdriver into that section there and either tighten or loosen up whichever way you need. And these two little pieces here are the parts that go under the sink. Well, this actually come off first. This actually goes under the sink and lines up with that hole there. Yeah, and that's how it's going to look. You tighten this little shaft right up to the end, and you can see here, you can see where my two hoses go. You can see the upside down C there for cold and the H there for the hot. So now I'll get my hoses. Now with my hoses, the first thing I'm going to do is check that there's a rubber O-ring in both top parts of the hose and both bottom. And also, as I mentioned before, these hoses are colour coded. So you can see the little red lines on this one and little blue lines on the other. That means blue is for cold and red is for hot. As I just mentioned, there's the connection for the hot, there's the connection for the cold. So I just screw these in, and you only have to screw these in hand tight, as I said before. And you do not need plumber's tape because there's those little rubber washers on the end there. And you just screw these in hand tight. You've got to be careful not to put them too tight, because if you put them in too tight, you'll end up splitting that little O-ring, causing a water leak. One. Two. Okay. Okay, so that's in. And now I'll just put my bottom pieces in. Okay, sometimes you need two people for this job. One to hold the tap into position here and the other one to get underneath. But unfortunately, I'm on my own today, so I've got to go by feel. Because I've got this big pipe in front of me and it's just in the way. Yeah. One thing that I forgot to mention earlier is make sure that your spout is in the centre and the handle is in the centre, so that when you turn it, there's equal movement on each side. This side for hot and this side for cold. Alrighty, so I'm just about done. All I have to do now is turn these taps back on and check for any water leaks. If there is any water leaks, it's possibly because I haven't done it tight enough, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed and hope that this is right. While I'm also under here, it's a good idea to check all your existing drainage pipe for water leaks and stuff, which for me, we're in the clear. So let's turn these back on. And I'll have to actually, it'll be a job for another day, get new taps for these little pieces because having a pair of pliers is just a little inconvenient. All right, so I'm tightening it. Sorry, I'm turning on these taps again. That was the hot, and this is the cold. Oh, come on. There we go. And now let's put it to the test. There we go. Look at that. Hot side, cold side, and swiveling around either side. Now I look at all these little hoses and their connections, feel with my fingers, and I can't feel or see any water leaks. But I'm going to turn the tap on again for a good minute or so and just keep my eyes peeled, and that looks like a successful mission. There we go. New mixer tap installed. As I mentioned before, it's always a good idea to measure your mixer tap and go and get your new one, unless you've already got this tool, but this little guy makes life easy. So I'd always get the new mixer tap first and keep this for any future taps that you may need to change. Yeah, okay, so thanks again for watching. If you like this video, please click the like button. It really helps my little channel along. Any questions, leave in the comment section. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button. That also does my channel the world of good. Thanks again for watching and have a great day.